This week on The Rock, we take a look at what some people are planning to do this summer. Then, we check in on the COVID-19 situation. After that, we get an interview with Mr. Boyce to discuss his retirement. Finally, Allie Perez shares the updates for what next school year may look like. All that and more this week on The Rock. Welcome back to the Rock AHS. I'm Rowan Tull, and this is our final Rock broadcast of this year. So get ready for a great show. To start us off, Gabe Burnett has put together a segment about summer plans and how they will be affected by COVID-19.
COVID-19 has squashed our plans for the school year, but the real heartache is that it has murdered our plans for summer. With endeavors to far-off locales shot down before they've even begun, people need a new plan on what to do with their COVID-19 summer. Fortunately, we have you covered. As a prerequisite, one of the most important things to do in this situation is to make sure that you stay in contact with your friends and family. You might have people at home with you, but their faces can get old faster than you'd expect, so make sure to reach out. Another thing you should do is have a project that you can accomplish by yourself or with your family. And between events that take place within your home, you should try to get out of it and move around the world a little bit, as long as you stay socially distant. Also, something you should take advantage of is to improve yourself in this time. Be it learning new skills like art or music, or improving your body for when beaches finally do open up. This is far from a perfect situation, but we should try to make the most of it.
Well, at least the coronavirus hasn't ruined everything. Speaking of which, what does the coronavirus situation look like now? I've heard all sorts of rumors from, well, it's not a big deal anymore, to, oh my gosh, the world's still ending. Luckily, Bradley Logan is here to clear up any misconceptions.
Hi, I'm Bradley Logan, and today we're taking another look at COVID-19. So, quarantine, am I right? What was the point of it? Did it even do anything? Since the COVID outbreak is still occurring, we have been unable to gather data that shows how effective quarantine has been. In order to do so, we must look at past pandemics like SARS and MERS. Looking at these studies, quarantine actually had a decent effect on how many people caught these diseases. With quarantine, there was a 44% minimum reduction and an 81% maximum reduction in people who were infected. Quarantine also had a 31% minimum and a 63% maximum reduction in the number of deaths. So quarantine really is effective, if people listen, that is. And it's a good thing people did, because now 70% of the US population lives in counties where COVID cases have been reduced due to quarantine. With this decrease in rate, 2/3 of states have started to take down their barriers and are moving into phase 2 of dealing with this pandemic. But just because bans are being lifted doesn't mean you shouldn't be taking precautions. If you completely neglect to reduce your risk of receiving COVID, there could be another boom in cases. So, remember to keep wearing a mask when you go out, continue to social distance when possible, and avoid touching, you guessed it, your eyes, nose, and mouth. And most importantly, wash your hands. Whether it's before you eat, after you come home from being outside, or just regularly, remember to wash your hands. Stay safe out there, people, and remember, there's no such thing as being too safe.
Thanks, Bradley. You know what I can't wait for after all of this coronavirus stuff? Getting back to school. Unfortunately, some teachers won't be joining us next year. One of those teachers is Mr. Boyce. Ivan Thomas conducted an interview with him to reflect on his experiences here at AHS.
Hi, I'm Ivy Thomas, and for those of you who don't already know, our metals teacher, Mr. Boyce, will be retiring this year. So I set up a conference to talk to him about it and got some insight on things that he might be doing with his free time. What was the cause behind you wanting to retire now?
My wife taught in this school district at various elementary schools for 43 years. So it's been a conflict of things that we want to do together. The state's retirement is arranged. It's the best 3 years monetarily out of the last 5. So for me to stay longer, I'd make a little bit more money, but after retirement, I think I'm still a employee of the district until August. We want to change the flooring in the house and hallway. We have a new granddaughter, and so I love spending time with her. We put in a swimming pool as well, so that to keep it the way everybody likes it. Right now, the temperature of our swimming pool is hovering around 89 degrees, the water. So it's like a 7,000 gallon hot tub. So keeping that thing up, plus I've got motorcycles and I've got trucks and I've got cars, and they're just, sailing and fishing and so many things to do, and hanging out with Victor.
Out of all the time that you've been at the district and have family at the district, how do you like working in the district?
The community support that we get is amazing. Anacortes is kind of a small town. It's like a family, and people are always doing random acts of kindness.
It's nice to know that even though some students may not have seen him as an outgoing and generous person, even after retirement, he's still going to do all he can to help out the community in our district.
I'd just like to say thank you. It's been an experience that has taken me to extreme highs and extreme lows. I've been able to look inside myself and change a lot of the world around me.
Thank you for all of your hard work, Mr. Boyce. And with that, I'm Ivy Thomas reporting from the Rocket AHS.
It's sad to see him go, but luckily, it seems his time here wasn't wasted. Speaking of next year, though, what's the plan for school this fall? Are we going to be stuck at home once again, or will things finally go back to normal? Allie Perez is here to provide some answers and speculations.
With COVID-19 still raging, next school year will look very different from previous years. I spoke with Superintendent Dr. Mark Wenzel to hear some of the ideas for the 2020 to 2021 school year.
There are 2 things that are for sure next year. One is there will be a learning program, whether it's virtual or in school, and our teachers and staff are committed to doing the best we can for our students. So that's a given. If we do virtual, we would want to be really thoughtful about what can we learn from the last 2 months. If we are at school, what we know for sure is that social distancing will be used. And so we're going to have to be really careful about what does that look like? How do we create a program where students can social distance, whether that be in PE or in music or in chemistry? And so we just really have to think through that, because that will be given. We'll have to do social distancing if students come back. One of the plans that was being talked about was high school would remain virtual, and maybe others would be in school to allow more space. But it's really unclear right now whether that plan will move forward. There's a lot of research that's being looked at, and they're really trying their best to make decisions. But as you can imagine, it's a really hard decision to make.
The state will be sending out some guidelines on school planning in the near future. And while nothing is certain right now, what we do know is school will happen one way or another. From the Rocket Anacortes High School, I'm Allie Perez.
Thanks, Allie. Personally, I hope we can all go back to school next year too. Anyway, that's going to wrap up The Rock for this year. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, email them to therock@asd103.org. And with that, I'm Rowan Tull, and from our rock to yours, stay safe, stay strong, and most importantly, have a great summer, AHS.